Posted by you/stolen poa. I have gone from terrified to white-hot anger to just a cold feeling in my stomach, and all sorts of other emotions. It is taking me some time to write this, so I apologize for anything that may be unclear. Background: I was just out of the country for over 2 months while I was being treated by specialists for medical problems. During that time, I had my personal valuables kept at a storage company that was supposed to be secure. Since I don't have close family, I didn't want to leave things like my computer sitting around in my apartment for that long. I also have some payments I receive, which I made sure would automatically go to an account, because I have renters in my old house and wanted to ensure certain bills would get paid without me having to think about it. I thought everything was set up well enough that I could be out of the country, focus on what I needed to, and then come back to everything as I left it. A while ago, when I was in a lot of pain and on a lot of medication, I had a lawyer help me ensure that my, now, ex could make decisions for me if I became incapacitated. Honestly, I had totally forgotten about this, because at the time I was very foggy and barely remember anything about it. The night before my flight, my ex told me they could no longer be with me because of my health problems, saying I was going to die and they did not want to be there for that. My health issues are pretty serious, and yes, my life may be shorter than it otherwise might have been, but I really couldn't deal with that mentally at the time, so I just said okay and went on my trip. We had been together for 16 months but were not strictly living together. Now, I came back to learn that somehow my ex has started taking, and possibly selling, all of my things. They have paperwork saying I was incapacitated, plus the power of attorney I had granted them. I was not incapacitated at any point during my treatment. I have no idea what doctor could have signed something like that. While I was gone, my ex used this to check my belongings out of storage, and I have no idea where my things are. I am worried that everything has been sold. Items have also been taken from my apartment. The tenants in my house were told by my ex that I was bedridden and that they would have to move out because my house was going to be sold. They were on a month-to-month lease and took this at face value, already moving out before I got back. They informed me that a realtor had been showing the house to potential buyers. I managed to get in touch with the realtor, and when I got him to understand the situation, he freaked out. There is already a buyer because my house was listed far below market value. Documents have been signed, some money has already been paid, and the buyers are preparing to move in. I told him to cancel everything, explaining that none of this was authorized. He said the paperwork my ex had appeared legitimate and that he needs to figure out how to handle the situation. I am waiting for more details. The account I set up before I left has been emptied down to just pennies, and I missed an important payment because of this. The bank says my ex accessed my account and that everything seemed in order because I was supposedly incapacitated. My ex knew I was setting up this account and what it was for, probably getting details from my apartment. I have spoken to both my ex and the police. My ex barely responds, but when I stood at their door and screamed, they finally said I was in a coma, not true, and that they had to sell my things for me. I think I heard them say, "You won't need it anyway," through the door. The police are telling me a few things. When I tried to report my ex for theft, claiming they stole my belongings from storage, I was told it is a civil issue. I explained the rest of the story, and it seemed like they didn't even know how to respond. Sitting at the police station feels like a waste of time because no one there seems to be able to do anything. They keep telling me to come back tomorrow when someone else will be there. Supposedly, officers went to my ex's place and were shown the paperwork. Tomorrow, I'm going to see a lawyer who advertises help with elder abuse and power of attorney fraud, which is the closest thing I could find. If they can't help me, where do I go next? Is there something key I can say to the police to get them to arrest my ex right away and stop this? I have to believe this will all be resolved eventually, but how screwed am I? Update 4 days later. I was a bit paranoid when making my original post because I didn't want to get condescending responses. I'm a woman in my early 30s, and my ex is a man around the same age. It has been a strange few days. I met with my lawyer on Monday morning, and she was very supportive. Even though she usually deals with elder abuse, she said my situation was very much within her expertise and seemed excited to have me as a client. She was also very angry. After last Saturday, I haven't had a lot of emotional energy, so it was nice to see someone be like that on my behalf. I spent quite a while in my lawyer's office, and later in the day, my ex called me. However, my lawyer had told me not to talk to him for now, so I didn't answer. We listened to a message together, though, and my ex said he was selling things for my benefit and investing the money to help with any bills I have to pay. My ex also mentioned that he was interested in getting back together since I had returned safely from my trip. My lawyer laughed, and it was a very surreal moment. After just one day, my lawyer found out that my ex had done something like this before. He had been with a person who was very sick for a while, then took off with the contents of a joint account in their car right before they died. The person's estate got into a legal battle with my ex and managed to get the car back but not the money in the end. She thinks this is essentially what my ex was trying to do to me and that he probably did it other times too, but either wasn't always sued or it happened in other states. I guess our whole relationship was just a facade, and he misread the situation when I was leaving to see specialists, thinking I wasn't coming back. That also explains why he never had a job if he was just making money off people like me. On Monday, my lawyer sent a lot of letters to various places, including one to my ex. These letters revoked the power of attorney I had granted, and the one to my ex included several demands, such as requiring him to produce my money and belongings as well as copies of the power of attorney and other documents he had about me. She also spoke with a realtor and some other people about my house. The unfortunate reality is that I should probably let the sale go through and take the money. That's not really what I wanted to hear, but it's not the end of the world. She also had me get someone to change the locks on my apartment. Wednesday was a weird day because my ex showed up at my lawyer's office with some of my belongings. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what that was like, but I do have my computer back. My ex also handed over the access codes for the online investments he made with my money, which seemed to really frustrate my lawyer because it's going to be a headache to ensure I get all my money back. She has dealt with this before and is committed to helping me recover as much of it as possible. She also says we will almost definitely be going after my ex for money because there are many issues with what he did, and the power of attorney itself is very suspect. However, she needs to talk to the hospital and some other people first. My lawyer mentioned that it's significant that the paperwork my ex was using to claim I was incapacitated is from the time I was hospitalized around when the power of attorney was executed. To sum it all up, I now have my computers back, but my money is in online investments, and it may be difficult to recover the full value. It's also likely that the rest of the money from the sale of my house will come directly to me. My lawyer is amazing, and she's devoting a lot of time to this case, which feels really reassuring. I just saw my local doctor, and he's concerned about the stress I'm under right after coming home, so I'm going to try to relax.